Hi, everyone. Welcome to a brand new episode of the Clear to Send podcast. I'm joined with our co-host, Francois Vergès. How are you doing, Francois?
Very good. How are you, Roa?
I'm doing well. It's we're going along further with this testing that we're doing of different vendors' dashboards and looking at how the cloud interacts with the issues that we try to generate and how easily we can identify them, what features are similar and dissimilar. And so today we are going to be testing out the Ruckus Cloud, right? We both
Mm-hmm.
have some APs, but in this case, I'm going to be sharing my screen because I'm logged in with our Clear to Send account. And you have some APs over where you live in Toronto. So we're going to see it's kind of like I'm the remote administrator trying to figure out an issue in a remote
Mm-hmm.
office, right? It's a good example of, hey, you had an issue.
Yeah.
What can we do to figure it out, right?
Yeah, my Wi-Fi sucks. I need help, so I called you.
and and for those listening to the recording, we do have this recorded in video as well, just because we're going to be sharing what the dashboard looks like. And I just want to let everyone know that I do have a report that I will be releasing in the future that kind of talks about each of these vendors as well. It's kind of the reason why we were doing these episodes, just to drill in a little bit further on the cloud dashboard. So tune in for that in a future episode, which I will release under Packet 6 on my side of the business. So why don't we jump into it a little bit? And as I share my screen, Francois, why don't you describe at least your experience with Ruckus?
Mm-hmm.
Because Ruckus did
Mm-hmm.
send us these APs and gave us access to the cloud. And so this is I guess, your first dive, both of our, like, really diving into it, our first time going into the Ruckus Cloud dashboard.
Yes. So the Ruckus also has a cloud dashboard, which is good to know. I've used it, once previously. I had an AP sent to me, a smaller one, and I actually already had everything set up in my cloud dashboard, which was a nice surprise for me when I went back to it. And the cloud, the Ruckus cloud is pretty simple, I guess, to use. It's very intuitive when it comes to configuration. So to configure, your site, your elements, your network, it's pretty straightforward. So you get in there, and then they ask you, to create a site, to give the address. They can show you the map where that location is, and then they guide you through the process of creating a network, an SSID, WLAN profile, to set up the environment. And then to add an access point, what you have to do is you have to retrieve the serial number from the access points. So at the back of the AP, you have serial number. You just take it, put it into the dashboard, and that will claim the AP, and the AP will start communicating with the cloud. For me, it took a couple of minutes for the AP to communicate with the cloud to retrieve the new code. I could see the AP rebooting at least once. And then once the process was over, I would say maybe 5 minutes, maybe a little under 5 minutes, then the AP shows up in the portal, and it's ready for you to use, and you can assign it to the site. It will retrieve the configuration and start broadcasting the SSIDs you have configured. So the configuration setup process is nice and easy. I mean, what you would expect from a cloud solution,
Yeah, it
which
should
is
be
which
easy.
is always nice. Yeah, yeah. Yeah, which is nice. That's what I really like about cloud solutions is, you just get the AP, and then you register it in the cloud, and then you can be up and running pretty fast.
Yeah, so
Yeah,
now
so
we
that was
have
pretty
your
good.
network here. Yeah, so we have your network. You got some clients connected, and we're in the dashboard now, which starts off with kind of an overall view of your wireless network. You got these alarms up here, and how many venues, and venues is more like a site uh, for where
Hmm.
your access points are, right? So Ruckus likes to call them
You want to
venues.
share your screen?
Yeah, sure. I always forget to do that, right? So Ruckus likes to
Yeah.
call them venues, and I don't know if that's because they're in a lot of venues, like like entertainment
Hmm.
areas,
Hmm.
areas. but then we also have a list of devices, and it looks like they can manage switches as well with this dashboard, and we can see how many clients are connected at this time, and so we can see the traffic, volume, client count, all pretty good information, kind of the stuff I would expect with a cloud managed Wi-Fi, right? And so on the left, we can see other menu items, again, diving into the venues, all your networking devices, wireless networks, your switch configuration, services, users, events, and also there's this other call out for analytics. So the analytics is probably where we're going to dive into the most when it comes to troubleshooting. And I believe it is a premium analytics to look at it. So it's not something that comes with the dashboard when you initially get your subscription. So I think this is more of a premium. It's a premium service that you would have to get. I think they do call it premium analytics.
Which is not the same premium analytics as Mist, right?
Right. Yeah. So
same name for different things.
Right. We have to look at what every vendor kind of offers when it comes to their services. And I believe only Ruckus and Mist are the ones that provide a premium, either a premium subscription or a premium service. Where when we looked at, for example, Meraki, everything is all included. Once you get that subscription or license, however you want to call it, it already is included with the dashboard. There isn't anything extra that you have to get with that. So right away, like as a network administrator, I come into the dashboard. I see there is an alarm, right? I think is that worth clicking into?
What happened?
Yeah, it's a major alarm as I hover over it. And we could actually organize the map. There's a major alarm, but nowhere on the map does it actually show that there's a major alarm, right? Because your site shows that it's good.
I think it's
operational.
A past.
Yeah.
Yeah,
it's like it's a past
alarm.
event. So we could try to right here. So I clicked on it, right? Because if we hover out, there's no alarm there. But if we click on major alarm, it does show that last Thursday there was a major event and your AP disconnected from the cloud controller. So I guess we could clear that alarm because that's not an issue.
I wonder what happened. there.
Yeah.
No, I just disconnected the APs.
All right. So I cleared that. Yeah, you disconnected an AP, so we cleared that issue. So the issues that you created were from last Thursday. We're recording this. We didn't record right away. I think we both ran into like scheduling issues and got busy. So we're looking at it now. And from the left, navigation, I'm trying to figure out, okay, where would I go? You, Francois, you said you have an issue. Where would I go to even begin, right? And my first guess is either users or events is a place to start. Because users, when we dive into it, is actually the clients that are connected to the Wi-Fi network. And so I click on users. I see that there's 3 clients connected, right? It's kind of, I don't know, the naming convention of this is like it says users, but then when you really look at it, it says clients. So if you're thinking user account, that's not really what it is. It is the clients. And I see 3 clients connected. And I see the time, how long they've been connected, a username, which I think is just a host name, right? In this case, it's just a username.
Well, it's both the host name and the username on the Radius.
Okay.
Because I use the same. And if you go back to wireless network on the left, you will see that right now I have 2.
Oh yeah, we should talk about what wireless networks.
So I have the clear to send network, which is the .1x network. So connected to Radius server I have in my lab. And then the other one, I think I called it Ruckus. PSK, something like that. Semfire Ruckus. So this is just a PSK network.
Okay, and so I went into the wireless navigation menu item, and I can see the 2 Wi-Fi networks, what type they are, which is just PSK and 802.1x. how many APs are using those SSIDs, and also what clients and VLAN. And if we actually go into one of them, there is information you can look at. Gives you this nice diagram of the AP, what SSID is broadcasting, dynamic VLANs
The
enabled, things like
VLAN.
that. We can still see, again, traffic volume over the last 24 hours, 7 days, or 30 days. We can see all the types of applications that Francois is using, doing a lot of YouTube in the last 7 days, watching your soccer,
And you have a
your
big,
football.
you have a big orange,
Yeah.
a big orange on the right that says default something.
Yeah. What is?
So I can tell you that's me. That's just me watching tennis all day
tennis.
long.
Okay. and that's
That's
because
it.
it was over the weekend, so that's fine. You got two APs that are operational, so right away it's kind of, you do kind of see status of what's going on with your SSID. If you look that, for example, you've got two APs, and if you see that one is only operational and broadcasting this SSID, then yeah, maybe you got something to address there. And then we look at the PSK, which is going to have a similar view, right? And this is not where you modify this, is it?
No. This is just the, I guess, the monitoring view. Some data you can retrieve from these networks. Yeah, you can, and they have the event tab as well.
Okay.
So I'm guessing they'll just filter out the event based on this SSID.
Yeah, so looking at events, and this is the event tab from looking at the wireless network. What kind of events are occurring for this Wi-Fi network? It primarily just shows, looks like just if the user connected or left, and if the something happened on the AP, like maybe you changed a setting, I believe, right? It's not, looks like it's trying to show a source, but it just says AP network change state. So it looks like maybe something was enabled or disabled, but it doesn't look like we can see, I don't know, maybe if I change it to more critical, I can change the severity. What kind of severity events can I filter down to? There's things like critical, major, minor, warning, and nothing kind of pops out there. I think just informational type of events. And then the different event types, we can drill it down to maybe just a client, and we should be able to just see everything related to a client. So nothing really of note troubleshooting from the events tab, unless maybe an AP went down, for example, right?
Yeah, you might see people disconnecting, client device disconnecting, so you might know exactly at what time that happened, but it doesn't really tell you why. And if you go back to the event tab, all the way on the right, you also have like a detailed button, so you can get a little bit more information on it. But it doesn't give you, much more data than what you had in the event log.
Yeah.
So once again, you might know that someone disconnected.
Yeah, due to lack of activity. So yeah, I clicked on the more details button, or view event, which has a nice timestamp. Nothing major. It's just that your client disconnected due to lack of activity. So maybe you hit a timer, like an idle timeout or something, right? And then there's links. So the link to the actual client is there. So if I click on that, then it changes the navigation from wireless networks to users, which is drilling down into the actual client. So is it really a Chrome OS that this device is, Francois? It's a Raspberry Pi, it says.
Yeah, it's a Raspberry Pi, but they have, I don't know if it's considered a Chrome OS.
I
but
see.
yeah, you can have they have this Chromium, I don't know how they call it. It's like a lightweight Chrome browser you can use on the Raspberry Pi. So maybe it's considered Chrome.
Okay. Well, it gives us a lot of good
That's why
details. Yeah, it gives us a lot of good details about your client, right? We have your MAC address, so if you wanted to search by MAC address, we can try doing that later, so I'll copy the text, but we can see how long this client's been disconnected or connected, and which AP it's connected to, and also the BSS ID. And then there's some current session details, so we can see what channel it's on, the type of traffic from, or how much traffic is coming from that client, and then we could also see things like SNR, which is really good, and then your RSSI and noise floor. So this comes from the AP's perspective, right? Not from the actual client. And I think that's just worth noting. And it's interesting that they give us Wi-Fi calling details. So I guess if we were to do some testing with Wi-Fi calling, we might be able to get some of the details of how that call transpired, like which carrier, and if it got a QoS priority. So that's kind of neat.
Yeah, that's nice. That's nice. And then you have, this client is only 2.4, so that's why it connects on the 2.4. And then you have more details on the client as you scroll down, so, so you can see what type of application they're using and so on. So which is pretty good. They don't have anything about problems though. They have the event history.
There's an event history, but nothing. Like if the user had a problem, I don't know if it would show there in the event history, and also it wouldn't be easy to search, right? Because if someone said they had an issue, you would still have to know what the MAC address is or what the device is in order to troubleshoot. So you can see things like the client connection, session history, and so those are some of the details you could use to troubleshoot. But it's not. It's kind of like the basic troubleshooting, right? And so we're looking at what in the cloud is actually a lot more useful for us to troubleshoot, because this is more of the more manual way, and it takes some time to kind of dive in and figure out what an issue is, other than signal, right? If I say, all right, maybe you have a signal worse than -70, then maybe it is an issue with signal, and that's about it. So
if you go back to the user list,
yeah,
and you try to click on my tablet, which is Zizu, the first one.
Zizu,
the first one. Yeah, I believe I generated some issues with this one. So if you scroll down to the event list,
yeah, I do notice sometimes it takes a while to load.
Yeah, maybe that's because I have a lot more data for this guy.
Oh, okay. Here you go.
Yeah, so you can see.
So we can see details of, here it is. It says it was authorized for access on this 802.1x network, which is good. So we can tell that it was actually connecting successfully to the SSID and got authenticated. And
it only shows you for today, though.
Yeah. So right, I don't see. I would have to change the day and time.
Yeah.
So let's see if that works. So we have to jump to a specific day, because it was just showing for the most recent events, which it's not showing me anything, or it's trying to collect it, but it's not displaying that data. So it says event history 6. I'm not sure what that means.
Yeah, it's probably still searching for it.
But I would expect those orange bars to come up to show us that it's doing something. So I'm going to say it's not going to display it. But I guess we could dive into events on the left side, right? Because this is just diving into the individual clients. So we did search for a MAC address, so I can type that in there, and it does find it, right? So if you have the MAC address, you can look for that client and drill into the details. But what if we go to the events navigation menu item, which would just kind of be the larger data set, right? So here it is. It even shows that I logged into the cloud. So you have some history of administrators logging in there, and it's like butchering your name there, Francois.
It's okay. I'm used to it.
It's not French ready yet. And then, or maybe it's me because I'm logging in and it doesn't, I don't know, but.
No, I see the same on my end.
Okay. We can filter the event log, right? So event log is pretty difficult way to try to see what's happening on your network and try to troubleshoot. So if I switched it over to just Wi-Fi events, still quite a lot. We can see your AP changing channels from on 2.4. We can see clients connecting. But if you were telling me that your tablet had an issue, I think it would not be easy to filter through this and see that there
Yeah.
is a problem. Other like I can see maybe major events. I don't know. And so it does take a while, right? So here it is. Oh, here's an issue right here, right? So I
Yes.
filtered it on Wi-Fi issues, major incidents or severities, and it does
Hmm.
show us on this day, on not this day, but on a day around noonish your time, that your AP02 was unable to reach the Radius server.
Hmm. And
So
it gives you the
that's
IP address.
and the IP address of the Radius server. So I think that's great. If someone said, I had Radius issues, although I could not filter that to say Radius issues, I just had to select major issues. So that shows up as a major issue,
Hmm.
filtering on all event types. So you could again filter by day and time to try to narrow that down. But again, I had to filter it through, right? I had to know to filter by major issue, or maybe there's minor issues. No, but that's a good way to figure out if there was a infrastructure
Hmm.
level issue. But would someone know to find that under events, right? Because initially it was just kind of a big list. I think that is the problem we have with most systems, or even the non-cloud systems, is it's typically just an event log that you have to sift through and figure
Hmm.
out where this issue is, right?
Yeah, usually the data is there. You just have to know where to look for. That's that's usually the thing.
Exactly. That's what we don't want to do because we don't have the time to look for it, right? And so we try to leverage uh, the cloud infrastructure, the cloud, the benefits that the cloud gives us, and the
Hmm.
analytics and the AI and ML to try to just show us this information, right? And so that brings
Hmm.
us to this analytics button right here, which opens up in a new tab for me. And so this is
Hmm.
I'm looking now at Ruckus Analytics, and again, this is a additional subscription, premium analytics, and I guess that's why it opens up in a new tab. Is my guess, because now we're in kind of like a whole new section
Hmm.
of what we were looking at before. The Ruckus Cloud area was more for managing the wireless network, right? And now we're in
Hmm.
Ruckus Analytics. So now we're looking at this going, what can we do with Ruckus Analytics, which
Hmm.
actually allows us to troubleshoot it a little bit more, right? So the dashboard doesn't give us much right now. I think it's because I have it filtered down to a specific time range, which no incidents had occurred. And so if I do
Yeah, I
last
think
7 days, go ahead, Francois.
Yeah, I think that the dashboard, I think it's if you have like big incidents that you're
Yeah.
tracking, it kind of gives you an idea of the state of the network. In my case, because I was just generating events or generating problems for a very short amount of time on like a couple of devices, I
Yeah.
don't think they would consider that as critical incident. So that's why we have a little bit less relevant data in our case, but that
Yeah.
I can see this being relevant if you have a bigger network.
Yeah, the incidence is more of when I tested this during that aligns with the report that I'll publish in the future, is that the incidence really is kind of like a scope, tells you the scope of an issue, and
Hmm.
you're just testing with like very few clients, right? So if you had a larger network, and let's say you did have an 802.1x issue, it would raise as an incident, and the longer that incident stays there, or if the impact of that issue keeps getting larger, it raises an incident in priority. So it'd go from start with a P4 low incident. If you haven't addressed it, then it becomes a P3 or P2 or P1 depending on the impact. And I think that goes in part of the, I don't know, that I guess that would fall under ML, I guess, or
Hmm.
AI, where it tries to automatically give you that scope and impact. So with our test, we have such little clients that we probably won't trigger these incidents because it kind of looks like just one-off individual user problems and not an issue that says, hey, this should be a P4, right? Like one individual user should not raise that as a high-ranking incident. The other thing I noticed right away is you got this little chat thing on the bottom called Melissa.
Yes.
And I know we'll kind of make fun of it because we are used to seeing a lot of marketing data and information around Marvis, which is from the Mist side. And so to me, I feel like this is kind of similar to that, right, Francois? It is in beta. It says right there, and I'm going to remove the picture-in-picture so you can see it. It was down here on the bottom right, and I clicked on it. Her name's Melissa. She can help answer questions about our network. And so how's my network today? What are my top application? How is client Robert doing? And is my network meeting expectations? So is this something that should help us fix issues right away? I don't know. What should I type?
Yeah, I mean, that's the that's a goal, right? If someone is calling you and like, oh, I have, Robert is calling you and they're like, oh, my network is not working properly. You could go back, I guess, to Melissa and then ask Melissa, okay, what's up with Robert? And then they will show you data on Robert. I hope that's the idea.
That is the idea, yes.
Yeah, so
is my network meeting expectations? I don't even know. Let's just try it. Is my network meeting expectations? We're going to ask Melissa that. Hit enter.
Let's say sleep.
Even at this time, it's too early for Melissa. What are the top applications? And I don't know if it's because we don't have anything for today. I don't know.
Yeah, maybe I don't have enough data in the cloud.
Yeah, it could
if
be.
you ask, how's my network doing? So we're just chatting with Melissa
today?
right now.
Yeah, she's not answering us. Oh, there you go. Yeah, I guess it's because it's data for today, right? Although it would be nice if she just responded and said, nothing's happening on your network. There are no top applications. Or maybe I didn't put the S. Yeah, maybe. We'll see. So today it gives us details around, all right, you got 2 APs. They're both online, no alarms. You got 2 SSIDs, 4 unique clients total. How much traffic within what average throughput? I guess that's kind of nice seeing the average throughput. And there are no incidents reported. It's just saying here are the number of incidents reported. They're all 0. What are the top applications? Maybe it's I have to do the right syntax or no. I would expect there'd be top applications if you got 10.7 gigs of traffic.
Yes. Yeah, so Melissa, there's also a big beta next to Melissa. Yeah. So they're probably still working on it. Right now, it looks more like a chatbot than, I guess, full AI, I would say.
Yeah, I would say the Marvis,
in the future.
Marvis is definitely a lot more advanced than Melissa here in this case.
In the AI portion of it?
Yeah. Yeah, so we'll kind of leave that there because not really getting kind of the results other than how's my network today. Maybe what's your client name?
Zizu, Z-I-Z-O-U. Z-I-Z-O-U, yeah. No, without the I. Without the I after the second Z, yeah.
There you go. How is client Zizu doing? Oh.
We get some 3 dots.
We got 3 dots. She's looking.
Searching for something.
Is she going to give us any detail? Oh, wow.
Yes, we got something.
We got some details here. Here's the client. Here's a summary of the client, and it gives us the MAC address from April 24th to April 25th. Here's your IP address, the last AP you're connected to, your average rate. What's that? Average rate. Okay, your total traffic, so that seems to be covering 70% of your 10.7 gigs of traffic. 70 applications. Wow. Okay. And you've been connected to 2 APs, you got 4 sessions. Your average SNR, which is okay. Your max
Yeah, I
SNR.
don't know. I don't know if they show SNR in dBm. Did you see that?
Yeah, yeah. So it needs to be corrected there.
Yeah, which is
Oh, they have it
always, you see
switched
that
here.
often.
Yeah, it's
Oh,
swapped.
yeah.
So they need to put DB up here for SNR and DBM down.
Yeah.
It is in beta. It is in
Yeah.
beta. So we can tell that you like move away from the coverage area often, right?
Yes.
Just based on average SNR, your minimum, and also your min and average RSSI. And so it could take us to client troubleshooting. So if this was the client that Francois said, "Hey, I have an issue with this device," I can go here to one of these two, client troubleshooting. It's gonna looks like it's gonna open this in a new tab.
That's pretty nice
Yeah,
because
I like
the
that.
first time I used the analytics, it took me a while to find the troubleshooting page. The page you're looking right now, it took me a while to
Yeah,
find it.
yeah, because
So
it
it's nice if
falls
you can
under
just have it
analytics.
right there. Hmm.
Okay, so here we
And
are.
this is one of the most interesting page.
Yeah,
Um,
this would
so if
be
you,
where you'd find all the issues for clients under analytics
yes.
and client troubleshoot. So for any dashboard, you got to remember that you are looking at a specific time window, right?
Hmm.
On the top right, it's just showing the last day. And so we can just see that your history, you've connected to 2 APs, everything's good. Although it says 76.68% good connection. I'm not sure if that's based on
Hmm.
RSSI and SNR. Maybe not,
I
because it
think
says you
it
got
is because I
0%.
took my I took my tablet outside yesterday at the back of the house when I was working outside. So maybe that's why it gives you that
Yeah, because it
connection
has
score.
connection quality right here. So we see some yellow, which
Hmm.
I like this view where if you have these different, I guess,
Metrics.
metrics, and
Yeah.
when you hover over them, it gives you this line, so you can kind of see across all the different metrics, right? So at this
Hmm.
time right here in the yellow, I can see that you roamed to AP2 on 5 gigahertz, and then I can see your RSSI, your SNR, estimate throughput, which I guess is just looking at data rates, and average MCS. So I think
Hmm.
right off the bat, like if you said, "Hey, I had issues on April 25th at 10:41," I don't know if that's AM or PM, but I'm guessing AM. Let's
It's
see.
AM.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Then I can say, all right, your RSSI was negative 79. You have an issue, right? Coverage issue. So I think looking at
Hmm.
that's pretty good. But I know we generated issues on Thursday. So if I
Hmm.
take this timestamp and go to Thursday, and I think I need to make sure I cover the whole day. Why can't I apply?
You have
Oh,
to
there you go.
click on Thursday again. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, the start date and time, and then the end date and time. So I should change this. It's in a 24-hour time. So I hit apply. And so now we got a lot more detail of your client. And on the right is the history. While I may not be
Hmm.
able to see some major events on this timeline in the middle, I see there's like a red circle there. I guess you can click on it.
Hmm.
And that brings me to an exact connection event and the details. And it is a
That's
radius
really
failure.
cool.
Yeah, so right away, I
Yeah.
know what the issue is right away. The reason is the radius server was unavailable. And this middle section here is my favorite view, right? Because it shows us the connection.
Hmm.
And obviously, you meet authentication association EAP request response, but you just never get a response from the AAA server that it says right here, right? You send your
Hmm.
access requests, but nothing coming back from the Radius server.
Yeah, so here, I mean, we don't get the packet capture, but we get a diagram that kind of represents the different stages of a connection. and it tells you where it fails with like a big red arrow. So this is very useful for us, especially when you have a little bit of Wi-Fi knowledge. You can know what's going on this page looking at that diagram. So the details of a specific event. And on the right, you have all of the events. So you can see which one are red, which one are yellow, which one are green. And you get a little text. Yeah, you can click and you get a text.
It mapped it to it because I just tried to click on that red circle and I already mapped it to April 22nd, 11:56 a.m. So you can see even there, it says radius failure, radius server unavailable. So you can click on each one and see this one's different. It says EAP failure. And so on the left here, I accidentally clicked out of it. What is not easily noticeable here is when I clicked on that on the right, on the left, it says the reason is the 802.1x auth failure, but I don't see that here in the middle, right? And that's because you can keep scrolling. So initially I didn't know I could scroll. I guess
on the diagram itself.
Yeah, on the diagram. And I think maybe they could have extended the window down more because I'm just limited to this rectangle. But you can see that your client is sending a radius access request, and it is. So here's the response back, right? EAP response.
Yeah.
You see these arrows.
So we know the server is up at this point.
Yeah. But you got a deauthentication.
We got a deauthentication at the end of the process. So here, just like the last time, looking at this, we know that the server radius is up and running. We just know that something is happening after when the client is trying to authenticate itself. So here I think it's probably me entering a wrong password.
Yeah, the previous event actually shows a little bit more detail too. So if I go back about 6 seconds from that timestamp, you can actually see the arrows from the AAA server sending it, right? And then this one, it just says because your station deauth leaving, you're like, forget this, I'm out of here.
So yeah, in this case, everything went well except the 4-way handshake. Something happened at the end of the 4-way handshake.
Yeah, you just didn't. You left. Even though you guys shook hands, you left the room, I guess. But there is another message up here where it actually says Aaa Auth Failure. So I think even for an IT guy, Aaa Auth Failure, they know what that would mean. I'm thinking on maybe as someone who's just kind of not really an IT guy or maybe a help desk and doesn't really know what these terms mean. They wouldn't know what Aaa Auth Failure would mean. I guess auth, you can kind of go authentication. But you can scroll down here again. And here, the AAA server, this red arrow there from the AAA server saying it's rejecting you. So that's where they get that Aaa Auth Failure from. And I don't know if they're actually capturing this as part of the frame capture, but then just displaying it for you in a nice way. That could be it, rather than giving you the PCAP. Because I know when you get the PCAP, you still got to analyze it, right? You got to open it. You got to look at the details of the PCAP. This could be a form of seeing the PCAP in a more visualizing manner and having it stick out to you.
Yeah, I think that's the idea behind that, making it more user-friendly, I guess, for people that don't really open PCAPs on a regular basis, but still understand the frame exchanges. So this is nice because you can see where the packets are coming from. And I mean, when you study networking in general, that's usually how we like to represent frame exchange. We have our little devices and then we draw arrow going left, right. So this is a nice, visual representation of what's going on. And then the fact that they outline which frame is failing can help us to, to understand or try to understand what the root cause can be for this type of issues. So remember, Meraki, how they were showing you like potential,
potential
root cause?
Issues.
That was,
This is where we wanted them to just tell us, just tell me what the problem is. If you know it,
Hmm.
Just tell it.
Hmm.
So that could be maybe a vendor not knowing exactly what the issue is, and they go, well, these could be the issues, or they're just not as confident in saying what the issue is. Here, Ruckus is saying, yeah, the AAA rejected you, so that is an authentication failure. Check your
Yeah, it's
credentials.
always, yeah, it could be something on the Radius server. So maybe in the future we could also have systems that integrate with Radius servers that capture the logs from the Radius servers and get more information on what exactly is going on.
Yeah,
And then we could have, we could bring up the logs from the Radius server, and we could see exactly wrong password or wrong password for user X or something like this. I think that would be quite useful to add
yeah,
to these type of systems. Um,
and that seems
so
doable, right? Especially
mhm.
if you can use APIs tied in together,
Yeah,
or
yeah,
if Ruckus had their own, I guess, authentication server, they can tie it
hmm,
all in to the dashboard,
yes,
like a
yes,
Ruckus
that seems
branded
very doable.
authentication server. But that's
Hmm.
client troubleshoot. I think that's where the money is for troubleshooting with Ruckus, is this Ruckus Analytics and going into client troubleshoot, right? If you know the client.
Also, yeah, if you go to there's under analytics on the left, you have the health
Yep.
section as well. And the health section gives you some of the metrics of the network. It's very similar to the SLEs you would get with the Mist. So they give you like a couple indication on how your network is doing. And so they have, successful connect, time to connect, client throughput, and they give you all of that information on a timeline. And so, just like how you were saying, you can hover over the timeline, you can kind of know what's going on at what time, and then you can try to correlate potential issues as well. Here, if you see that a lot of people couldn't connect at one point, you can try
Yeah.
to see what issue.
So
Yeah,
it
so
looks like then
it's a nice data set.
we should be able to set these SLEs then, right? I like that it gives you kind of information on what is connection
Hmm.
success. But I wonder, like, how do you define the success, or is it just defining it for you, kind of thing? Oh, right here,
Hmm.
79%. Oh, here, you can do it on the right. Okay, so we can customize the threshold. So I can go goal, and I can manipulate it. Be like, oh, we're meeting
Hmm.
100% of our goal. So we can
You can
change
make it
the,
green.
yeah, we can change the SLAs. They call it customized SLA threshold. So there's
Hmm.
one for time to connect. I
Time
think
to-
this is because it's
Yeah,
saying in
yeah.
seconds. We've got throughput. If the goal
Hmm.
is to make, I can't go beyond 50. I guess 50 or better. Um,
Hmm.
if yeah, there's 2 megabits per second. We've met our goal. Or if you wanna, what's this one? Oh, this is client
AP
throughput.
capacity.
This is AP capacity. Okay, I get it now. And then AP controller connection uptime. Okay, so we can customize those goals, and then that changes the value here on the left side of
Hmm.
whether or not we're meeting that goal. So it looks like it's taking longer than 2 seconds to connect to your AP, Francois. Time to connect
Yes.
measurement. So I mean that could be
Yeah.
because maybe you're farther from the AP, because I know the APs you contain in your little office there to where all your tests are done. So it could be that when you bring your devices out of your office, then it could take longer to connect to those APs. Or it could
Well,
be
I
other things. It
think
could be
it
DHCP,
also,
the issues you
yeah,
created,
yeah.
right? If you've
Yeah,
got,
DHCP is definitely not fast in my house. So that maybe that too.
but this is a nice way to drill down if you want to look at
Hmm.
overall what's happening, right? Because I see 31 failed connections. I would drill into
Hmm.
that right away just by clicking on it. And so then it brings up that bar, right? So right underneath it is a bar graph here. And if I
Yeah.
click on one of these, I clicked on failed connections, I can see that out of the 31 failed connections, 22 of those are EAP failures and 9 of those are radius failures. And so you could actually click on this. The colors are pretty similar. I wish they kind of
Mm-hmm.
maybe stood out a little bit more. But if I clicked on the bar for the 9 radius failures, it actually then drills down below that even more, tells us
Mm-hmm.
that this only impacted one venue, right? So if you change the radius server for all your venues, or maybe just for one of them, you could see the impact there. If it was a negative impact, and then what clients were impacted. I like this view because having been in troubleshooting situations with different people, we all know that there's like management that comes to you and goes, "Hey, how many people is this issue affecting?" And usually, what is your response to that, Francois? I don't know, right? Like, I don't know. I
Yeah.
need to look into it.
Yeah. Yeah.
But here right away, we can see, okay, I know what the impact is. It's only affecting one venue, guys, and really only 3 clients. So we can relax unless one of those is like the CEO or something. But we have the 3 impacted clients. We can actually drill into the client from here because there are links for each client. There's client details and client troubleshoot. And so client troubleshoot brings us back to that page we were at looking at Francois's device to see what the issue is. But it brings us to the exact issue, right? Instead of us trying to look at the history, by clicking on that client details for that specific failure that we saw, it actually brought us there to April 22nd at 11:38, Aaa Auth Failure, radius failure, right? So we scroll down. Wait, did I click on the right one?
Yeah, that's the right one.
Health. Oh yeah, radius failure, right? I was thinking that was like a radius
Yeah.
server failure. Wait, does it click on it? Yeah, I went to your client. So client troubleshoot. It actually doesn't tell us here in this view when that was. Or I am looking at April 22nd, I guess. What does it look like if I change the date? I'm going to change the time range from April 22nd to April 24th. And then hit apply.
You have one more failure. You went to
One
32.
more. So it still gives us the impact. Right now, I don't know. Like if you're looking at the time frame, I don't know which day it's happening, right? So I go to one client, click on client troubleshoot. It brings me to one specific issue on April 22nd, 11:38, radius failure. And this is what we were looking at earlier, where the radius server rejected your credentials or something.
So if you go back and you click on client details instead of client troubleshoot,
all right. So
what do we get instead?
Yeah, because there's 2 links: client troubleshoot and client details. So I'm going to click on client details. Brings us over to the report section under client details for this specific client. I see top application, top applications, traffic trend. I can hover over the this single graph. It doesn't look like it brings down the time or the line for all of the graphs, but I can see your user traffic, how much you are transferring at any given time during that time frame. I can see traffic by radio. So this was, you're doing all 5 gigahertz. It's just kind of nice to know, right? Oh, I like this RSSI trend over time. Like if you said, yeah, that was at 5:15 in the morning, or no, 7:30 in the evening, we can see that your RSSI just drops. Like it just dove off the cliff there, and now you're at negative 82. And same thing for SNR. So it's a nice, yeah. And they have the right values there. dB, right? So it says SNR dB there. dBm for RSSI. Melissa just needs to use the correct values. And then all your sessions. And so it gives you a good amount of detail if the client was actually doing something, if it was active during the time the user said, right? The user might have been saying, yeah, it was 10:51 a.m. and I just couldn't do any Zoom, for example. But you can see at 10:51 a.m. there was like no traffic going.
Mm-hmm.
But at 10:50 there was some. So you can use this for just looking at client details. You can export this as a PDF and be like, here's the proof that you were doing mostly tennis videos and not doing any work.
Well, I do both at the same time.
Yeah, play it in the background, right? But
Exactly.
It's kind of interesting to see that how many applications were being used, right? So I guess you can drill down per application. You can even see what ports it's using. That's cool.
I was using Skype, App Store, is it? YouTube, and some obscure application.
Yeah.
Like Semfio-apps.com. What's that?
That's interesting. It's the only work-related app here. But it's a nice client detail report. Again, you can change the time frame, right? It's using the time frame that we had previously selected under the health area. And when we clicked on client details, that's when it gave us this report. There's other reports too that you can use. You can use this to, I guess, stay up to date with specific things that you're looking for. I don't want to go too much into this because there's so many different reports, and I guess we can get.
That's one thing that's really good with cloud services. It's usually easier to create reports, and sometimes, like I've worked with some customers where we had like ad hoc requests for reporting, and sometimes we were not able, believe it or not, to just come up with a simple report because we needed like Cisco Prime or like X and YZ product, and it wasn't easily just accessible or doable. But with the cloud services, I found it's very easy to create reports. So if a customer comes to you at the end of the day and they want to know how many people are connected to X, Y, Z SSID, you can come up with a PDF file and send it to them via email in like 5 minutes.
So you can do like a WLAN report, 2 SSIDs during this time period, how many clients were connected, and the total traffic. To me, like this is why I think they call it venues versus sites, because maybe the venue wants a report of, hey, we had this event. What did that look like over Wi-Fi, right? Are people using the Wi-Fi? Which SSID are they connected to? So
and if you like, also if you are a network operator and this is your network, what you can do is you can just have a report sent to you every morning or like before you enter in the office, and you can see how your network is doing or how your network was doing yesterday or whatever, and you can get like a daily view on the network and
so
if something needs to be done. Look at that. You can get a lot of data. And
5 total clients, 60% of them have had good RF, 40% had average, 0 had poor, although I see one poor one right here. One poor client. This is actually a good breakdown, right? Like if you just look at this over time, so this is the percentage, this is the actual count, health by group. I guess that's a venue, and then some health metrics, right? So I guess this is an average of client SNR for all those clients.
SNR.
Max and minimum.
So they still use the average represented by the line, and then the color, the faded color, is the min max.
Yeah.
So it's pretty cool. It tells you get all the information on the same graph.
Right. So if there's like an average RSSI that you're trying to hit, right, maybe for roaming purposes, for example, you can see it on average if you're hitting that RSSI or not. Even with throughput, if there's a certain amount of throughput you're trying to hit, this is the data that can tell you. Even the client MCS. This is transmit though. Transmit client.
That's interesting.
Yeah, look at that.
Look at that. Average 1 gig.
Yeah.
It's strong.
And the client throughput. Those are really good, Francois. Is it because the AP is so close to you? Or? But look at this. Your client throughput. Let's look at this date right here. April 23rd at 9 o'clock, your client throughput average was 1 gig. And then if you go down to the same date, you can correlate that with your transmit client MCS, which is also 1 gig. Are these values the
So
same?
Yeah, it looks like the throughput is,
Oh,
the
this is different.
estimated throughput is very close to the MCS.
Yeah, 752 on April 23rd, 1. Oh, your throughput was a little bit, average throughput was a little bit higher there. Okay. I mean, it's pretty good data. So the reports that I did like was kind of, so here's an overview. I really like the WLAN. If you want to look at what's happening on your WLAN, the client health, to me, that would be important. And airtime utilization, which is, do you have APs that are maybe over, you have an area that's over capacity, right? So it has airtime utilization, receive, transmit, and also airtime busy.
And you can see it over time. So you can see if, if some, during the day, if you have some period of time where it just go up the wazoo, and you could say, oh, maybe, we don't have enough APs to support the capacity
so actually,
for that
what
area.
we haven't looked at was going into the AP. Right. So we were looking at clients, but the AP itself, like what can you glean off of this view for the AP, right? So you can see that it's sending and receiving data, traffic, the performance of it, traffic rate, max, average, SNR, uptime history, traffic trends. So nothing with like errors, but you can kind of get an understanding of what is happening on an AP, basically, right?
It can, it can give you a trend. If you see a lot of low SNR, maybe you could see maybe, we don't have enough AP in that area or something.
Yeah, so here it looks like one client's doing quite a bit. And so that's where you go, all right, what is this client doing? Is he transferring large files? Maybe he's watching video. You can see that it is broken out by this client. And then, I just clicked on it.
So it's this guy,
went back to when I clicked on it, it went to the client detail. And yeah, he's watching a lot of tennis. So that kind of correlates to like why I went back to the AP details, but it correlates to why that graph showed such a long period, like right here, right? I can tell you kept tennis on from 4:15 to 10:30. It's a lot of tennis.
Probably, yeah. I watch a lot of tennis.
All right. Well, that's just kind of showing some good details there. And the one thing I do want to touch upon is this Data Explorer, which allows you to go even further with how you want to see things and break it down. It's been a while since I looked at this, but it's like a table and they have all this data. You could edit, I forgot how to edit this, but you can do a bunch of filters and basically break this out in a table or even change the view of this thing and create like additional, like it's pretty complex.
Create your own dashboard.
Yeah. So whatever you want to view, you can view that. So I think that's for another day to talk about, but just wanted to bring that up.
Yeah. That's very good for our events. If you want to monitor specific stuff real time, it's pretty cool.
Yeah, I don't even remember how to do it, honestly, but
if you click on the
we can do AP radio, for example. I don't know what I did. I messed it up.
It's pretty much a dashboard creation tool.
Yeah. Any data that's in here, you can look at it. There's service validation, which I don't think we touched upon, but I've never played with that, and it's in beta. But that's really it, is looking at client troubleshoot, look for specific clients, but I would start maybe here at the dashboard and then drill into, let's see, incidents or health, and then drill into clients based on the issues you see, and then getting the exact reasons why, right? So this was a long way of us telling or kind of going through it. But I want to just mention that I think the fastest way to identify the issue is to use the Ruckus Analytics versus just looking at events in an event log, because you won't really find it. Here, we find it right away, right? If I was just looking at this, I already see the failed connections, and I go here, and you see it just took me a few seconds to go, oh, auth failure.
And since it's in the cloud, you can remotely assess your the network of your customers or attend if they need help. The data you have in the analytic tool is pretty good. It's pretty cool. You have a lot of data. It takes a little bit of time, getting used to know where things are, but once it allows you to get to the information pretty fast. And I was really happily surprised with the amount of data they have in the cloud. So it's if you guys are interested in Ruckus and you want to do monitoring and have a lot of data, I would definitely use the analytics system as well. Maybe one day they can merge the two, so it's just one tool.
Yeah,
that would make sense.
Yeah, and again, like we tried using Melissa, but it's still in beta, so it doesn't give us like the language there is not as advanced yet to really type what you want to say. You kind of have to know what terms to put in there and to make it generate some data. Hopefully that gets improved as over time, and I'm sure it will. But I think, I don't know, it's worth looking into the Ruckus Analytics. I don't know how much it is per, what that subscription looks like, if it's per client or per site. But if troubleshooting quickly is what you're after, then this would be better than looking through the event logs, because when we did look through the event logs, we did see that there was a radius server issue. But we didn't identify like the scope of that issue, how many venues did that affect, how many clients were affected by that, and what those details of the issue were, right? But the Ruckus Analytics was able to give that to us. All right. Well, that's it for this episode, and we hope you guys found some value out of that, seeing what other vendors are doing, especially Ruckus. And just want to thank Ruckus for sending us those APs and giving us access to this cloud to test it out. It was really interesting going through it and trying to identify some of those issues and to be able to compare that with what's out there today.
Yeah, and it was nice because Ruckus doesn't do as much, I guess, ad as Mist or the other ones.
Marketing.
Like you don't see it as often out there. Marketing is not as active, so it's nice to take a look at it, and hopefully we can share that with you guys as well, so you can know what it looks like. That's good.
All right. Yeah, if you guys want to see more, or you want to see the show notes, we'll have the video and the audio over at cleardescend.net/262. I believe that's the number. But yes, we'll have everything there. If you guys want to add your feedback or have any comments about something, let us know in the comment section there, and we'll be sure to try to address those. And maybe we'll look into some of the other features of Ruckus as well as we keep comparing different solutions, because really it all comes down to, for me, kind of like the workflow, right? How am I going to use a tool, or how does another person use the tool in order to troubleshoot? And so that's kind of what I look for the most, and also the accuracy of the data, right? So this is a good view, a good comparison. We'll link also to the other episodes where we compare the other vendors as well, and you can kind of put your opinion or view of each one. And we'll try to do more as well. All right,
yes,
guys.
For sure. And we only talked about the cloud interface, but maybe one day we can also talk about the hardware they offer, like the difference between the APs and the Meraki, Mist, Ruckus. I guess that's the one we talked about.
Compare the access point hardware.
Yeah, it's because sometimes it might be a little different, right?
Yeah, and we were talking about doing some tests earlier as well, right? Because like how do we test the quality of the hardware, the throughput? Like we don't have the enterprise equipment to do that. like what some of these vendors will do in their own labs.
Mm-hmm.
But we could try to simulate some of that ourselves and try to get an understanding of, what client we're connecting and how much throughput that's getting. It's just another data point that we can test out.
Mm-hmm.
All right, guys. We want to head over to show notes, clear2send.net/262, and we'll see you guys on the next episode. Bye, guys.
See you guys. Have a good week.